It's time for the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show.
Good morning, Charleston, and welcome to another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm, of course, your host, Brian Beatty. I've been selling real estate in this market in Charleston for 20 years. We've done about 1,500 transactions here locally. So if this is your first time tuning into the program, this is where we talk about the process of buying, selling, investing in real estate. We talk about housing at large. We talk, of course, about trends within our local market. But the purpose of the show is to educate and inform you. There are really very few shows that exist that talk about the process of buying a home or selling a home from a consumer's perspective. A lot out there on investing in real estate, not so much about the process for everyday folks that go through the trials and tribulations of listing their home for sale and buying another home, or maybe investing in real estate, or maybe you have a piece of real estate that you own that you'd like to have professionally managed. What does that look like? So if at any point in time as we talk through this show, if you have something that you want to chat with me about personally, I'd like to just give out my contact information really quickly so that you guys have that at the ready. My number, which you can reach me on personally, it's 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. You can call or text me. I'll be the one to answer that. Or, of course, you can check us out online. Our website is listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And just a quick reminder that we put all these radio segments on our podcast, which is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. And you can also see us on YouTube. If you check out our videos there, we take all this audio, we put it to video so that you can put a face to the voice and follow along there. There's some great graphics and some additional information on YouTube as well that we just don't have the ability to do on radio. So let's break down what we want to talk about here over the next hour. We're entering the spring market this week, next week. Really, the remainder of this month is going to be very, very busy for people that are kind of at the ready, right? They're getting ready to put their home on the market, or they're getting ready to kind of make that phone call to a real estate agent to say, hey, I'm very seriously considering selling my house. I want to get it ready. What does that look like? How can you help? And then, of course, you have all the buyers that are waiting for more inventory to hit the market. If they see the right thing that hits the market right now, believe me, those properties are getting swarmed. We're still seeing multiple offer situations. We're still seeing really good activity on homes that are priced well, in good condition, that are also marketed really well. And so what I want to talk about for the first half of the show really are the homes that are not selling. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not, and I share this on this program because we actually have a company that we have personally hired out of Atlanta to provide us with some real estate stats that our local MLS just doesn't provide us with. One of them is the impact of, the asking price, or the initial asking price, on the eventual sales price. In other words, how far away from fair market value can you list your home and basically get away with it, right? Still get showings, still get interest, still get offers. But those stats also said that 1 in 3 homes that list for sale right now are not selling. They're being taken off the market for whatever reason. Maybe they fire their agent. Maybe they just decide not to sell. Maybe they can't get the price that makes sense for them in order to sell their property. Maybe they decide to rent it out. Who knows? But the reality is 1 in 3 homes that hit the market are not selling with the first person they hire, if at all. Those homes that then get relisted have an opportunity to rebrand the property, right? But usually it's one of 3 issues: price, condition, or marketing. And so what I want to talk about are the homes that are sitting, or the homes that are not selling. We've all driven through neighborhoods and seen a property that's for sale, and it just sits there, week after week, the same sign, the same listing, no under contract sticker. And meanwhile, other houses in the neighborhood, or even on that same street, hit the market and they're under contract in 3 days. So what's going on? Is the market slowing down? Is the house cursed? Is there something else happening behind the scenes? And so today I want to break down why some homes simply aren't selling right now, even in a strong market like the one that we in Charleston are in. And more importantly, what sellers can do to fix it. Because the truth is, most homes that sit on the market don't really have a market problem. They have a strategy problem. So Let me add a little context. Let's start with something important, right? The Charleston market is not crashing, right? It has changed, but it is not crashing. For years, think about this. We've had record low interest rates. We've had massive buyer demand from local all the way to international. I mean, I'm selling a house right now to somebody from Germany. A few weeks ago, it was Switzerland. A few months ago, it was Poland. I mean, people are coming here from all over the country, not to mention all the folks from New York and California and Chicago and Boston and fill in the blank. Charleston's a popular area, and we've had extremely low inventory for years, really since COVID kind of took effect and reshaped the real estate market. So homes were selling instantly. They were often getting multiple offers within hours, right? Today's market, it's a lot different. Buyers are more cautious, right? Interest rates are higher than they were a few years ago. They're down into like the low sixes, maybe high fives, depending upon your credit score and your down payment and the product that you're looking for and so on and so forth. But we're also starting to see inventory creeping up a little bit more. And that really just means that buyers are more selective than they have been in years past. And I think we got away from being used to that because the deck was incredibly stacked in favor of the sellers. And so when buyers become more selective, mistakes get punished quickly, right? Which is exactly why some homes are either still on the market right now or are kind of doomed before they even hit the market because of the strategy that they're employing. So let's just start with the biggest reason that homes don't sell, and it's overpricing. And I want to explain something that I would say most people misunderstand, right? Overpricing doesn't just mean that a home is too expensive. It means that the price does not match buyer expectations. And today, buyers have unlimited information. We as real estate agents are no longer the gatekeepers of information, right? You don't have to go to a real estate agent to get generalized data. Of course, if you want an in-depth analysis on what a property will actually sell for or where there's opportunity in this market right now, where are some areas of the market that are starting to slip or overcorrect. But today's buyers can see like every comparable sale, every price reduction, every competing listing. They don't always have the complete information, like whether or not the seller had to make repairs or pay closing costs or give concessions or why they negotiated the way they did, which real estate agents do have access to. So, when a home hits the market for, $30,000 or $50,000 too high, most buyers really aren't saying, hey, let's negotiate. They're saying, let's just skip that one for now, because they assume the seller isn't realistic, right? And here's the dangerous part. The first 2 weeks that a home is on the market is the most important time that you're on the market, right? That's when the listing is new. It's when the algorithms are pushing it out. It's when serious buyers are watching. And on top of that, if you really think about it, when you first put a property on the market, you're marketing to two different groups of people. Group number one are the people that are ready, willing, and able, right? If they see something they like and it hits the market for sale, they are going to go and see it in person and decide on whether or not they're going to make an offer. So you've got that first group of people that are just waiting for the right thing to hit the market, but they're ready, willing, and able buyers. The second group of people are the people that just enter the market every day, right? Something has changed in their life, and now they're ready to start very seriously considering buying a house. So within the first 2 weeks, you kind of exhaust that first group of people. They make an immediate decision on whether they want to go and see it in person or not and make an offer or not. So you might get a lot of online traffic, but not a lot of showings, which might tell you that, hey, we've got a lot of eyes on the screen, but it's not translating to actual actionable interest, right? What they're going to do is they're going to click on that save button, which with whatever website they're using. And then as you make your price adjustments, they'll get notified and then they'll become more interested when they feel like you're more serious, right? So that window is incredibly important. And if you miss that window with the wrong price, your home is going to be called what agents call a stale listing, right? And stale listings are where sellers start to chase the market downward. I would say that the second reason homes don't sell is just poor presentation, right? Buyers don't experience homes the way that home sellers do. They experience them online first. And that means photos matter, listings or lighting matters, staging matters. Think about this. The home isn't competing necessarily against the home down the street. It's competing against every other listing on the internet that's going to populate in their search results based on their search criteria, right? So if your photos are dark, or if the rooms feel empty, or if the layout's confusing, or if you can tell that there's deferred maintenance, if the curb appeal doesn't pop online, it's certainly not going to pop in person, right? So buyers never even schedule showings on some of these listings. This is exactly why things like professional photography and virtual staging and furniture placement or removal and decluttering can dramatically change the way a home performs online. And sometimes the difference between a home that sells in 5 days and one that sits for over 90 days is presentation. So it's incredibly important. And on my team, we will virtually stage any vacant home at no cost to you. So we believe a lot in the presentation of the home online. And look, I understand that you're probably not going to keep that home in a condition that is like a model home 24/7. You live there, right? And it's tough to keep up with all of that, especially if you're like my household with 2 young kids, right? I can clean my house and then 30 minutes later have to do it all over again. And I know a lot of you listening are either in that boat or have been in that boat. It's tough, right? But for the day of photos, we want it to be as close to perfect as possible. All right. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the third reason why homes don't sell, and that's weak marketing, right? Remember, this is a strategy issue, not necessarily a market issue. Any home can sell in any market. So we're going to continue to uncover some of these reasons why homes are sitting rather than selling and what you can do to get ahead of it or fix it if you're in that situation. So stick around. This is the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. And remember, if you want to reach out to me, if you're thinking about selling your home, I will put my marketing plan up against anybody. We do a lot of very customized things with regard to marketing. I've told you guys on this program that I don't share the specific things that we do just to maintain a competitive advantage. But if you'd like to learn more about how aggressive we are with our marketing and how we can find people for your home, then I invite you to give me a call or text me. My number is 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or check us out online, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And the last thing I'll say really quickly before we jump off is that if you really are seriously considering selling your house, then I think you should get your hands on the home seller guide that I wrote. It is basically 20 years of my personal experiences and 1,500 transactions put on paper to help you and educate you on how to get the most out of the sale of your home. So if you'd like a copy of that, just text the word report to 843-800-0065. Text the word report to 843-800-0065, and we'll send that right over. I'm, of course, your host, Brian Beatty. Thanks again for tuning in as we continue our discussion about reasons why homes sit on the market without selling. And sometimes it can be very confusing. And sometimes there's not an exact reason why, and it's tough to pinpoint, even from an experienced real estate agent's perspective like myself. And so we're talking about generalized reasons why homes don't sell. And then in just a little bit, I'm going to give you 7 things to avoid or take into consideration before you get the process started so you don't wind up like one of the 3 people that list their home in our market right now and don't sell. Because that's the stat. 1 in 3 homes that get on the market get taken off the market. They fire their agent. They decide not to sell. They can't get their price. They decide to rent it. They decide that now's not the right time. Whatever the case might be, 1 in 3 homes are not selling right now. And it's worse than it's been in a long time. We haven't seen anything like this since COVID. So I want to talk more about some of the reasons why these homes sit. And this is one that I am ultra, ultra passionate about, because I will say that, in my career as a real estate agent, you got to remember, I started right out of college, right? So I didn't have hardly 2 quarters to rub together. And so my marketing was all very grassroots. It was pick up the phone and dial until I was blue in the face and spread the word, because I didn't have the ability financially to do what we do now, where we've got incredibly customized marketing approaches when we list our homes for sale. There's no way I would have been able to compete with myself 20 years later had I just been starting out. And one of the reasons why I think we've done so well as a real estate organization is our commitment to using cutting edge technology and best practices to find people that are interested in our listings. And so, the third reason homes don't sit, it's weak marketing. And this is something most sellers really never see behind the scenes, which is the big challenge, right? You have to rely on what your agent is saying and just hope that they're doing what they say they maybe have the ability to do. And I'll be honest, a lot of agents have gotten really good at mastering the pitch, right? The presentation. And because there's very little accountability and visibility for what's actually going on behind the scenes, those agents may or may not be able to get away with just not doing the things that they said they could do or would do to promote your home for sale, especially if it sells quickly. So, a lot of agents still rely on very old school, very inexpensive ways of marketing real estate, right? They put it in the MLS. Once that home goes in the MLS, it is then shared on, Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com and Homes.com and blah, 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 blah. Wherever you're looking, that information came from the MLS, right? Due to syndication agreements they have with third-party companies that post those websites or properties all over those websites. So it doesn't matter if I got my license today or if I've sold, 1,500 homes over 20 years. Whenever I put that property in the MLS, it goes on the same websites, right? Now, I do have some exclusive agreements with websites so that if somebody actually inquires about that property, it comes to me. But that's not the way most of these websites work. Try it. Go on Zillow. Go look at some random house in Colorado or wherever. I don't care. But when you call that agent, it's not going to be the listing agent. It's going to be some random agent that Zillow has assigned to then basically convert you as a buyer lead. They don't know anything about that house. They're just getting leads. And then they're paying Zillow an exorbitant referral fee on the back end, like 40, 45%. And so the problem is they'll put the property on the MLS, it'll syndicate all these websites, and then they'll wait. And if it doesn't get an offer within X amount of time, then they just ask you to lower the price because that must be the problem, right? But the reality today is that buyers come from multiple channels: social media, Google searches, YouTube, agent networks, investor lists, right? If the marketing strategy is passive, the buyer pool becomes smaller, and fewer buyers means fewer showings, less competition, and ultimately lower offers. And so how do you fix this? If the home isn't selling, there are really only three things that can work. And the first is just correcting the pricing strategy. No guessing, right? No hoping, right? Using real data and buyer psychology, right? The second is just improving the presentation of the home, right? Sometimes that means rearranging furniture or adding staging or improving photography. But I would encourage the people that are selling their home to ensure that their agent is marketing not just the bedrooms and bathrooms and pretty kitchen and so on and so forth, but when someone's looking at your listing online, especially those that don't live here, we need to give them an idea of what the lifestyle associated with living in that house and in that area looks like. So add photos of the amenities, talk about how close it is to certain things, right? Just improve the presentation. Those small changes can create huge perception shifts. And I think the third is, of course, just expanding the marketing reach. Expose the home to buyers outside of the typical MLS audience. That's how you create competition. That's how you create urgency. That's how you create fear of loss. And the thing that I think is incredibly important in today's age, with all of the information we have access to and all of the companies and platforms out there that now exist, we should be targeting the people that we think are a match on paper with your home. I mean, it's really not complicated in terms of the process, right? And understanding what an agent should be doing. I mean, you as a seller should be asking the real estate agent, what are you going to do specifically to find a buyer or buyers for my house? What are your personal efforts. Show me the money. What are you going to invest in to help me sell my home? Or is this just a post it online, set it and forget it? If it doesn't work, reduce the price relationship. And I'm here to tell you, if you're going to pay that agent a commission, you deserve more. Right? So if you're listening right now and you're thinking about selling your home, here's the most important question to ask yourself. If your home doesn't sell quickly, what is the backup plan? Because the difference between homes that sell and the homes that sit usually comes down to the strategy before the listing ever even hits the market, right? So if you'd like to know how much your home would realistically sell for in today's market, if you'd like a breakdown of the strategies that we are using in this exact market and that we have used when we were in this market previously, years and years and years ago, then I invite you to give us a call so that we can walk you through what we're doing and our unique customized approach to selling property in a market where it seems like demand isn't quite as heavy and buyers want a deal and they now have the ability to comparison shop better than they have in years. I mean, the power is slowly kind of leaking through the seller's hands, right? The scales of power are becoming more balanced. And I would say as of right now, they are balanced, right? Even though on paper we appear to be in a seller's market, buyers are not behaving that way. And it's important that you work with somebody that understands buyer behavior, right? The psychology of the sale. And then they have the marketing to back that up. I mean, the thing that we do that is unique, again, is our ability to target specific buyers that are a match demographically, geographically, and behaviorally, because all that data exists, for a home like yours. And we market your home to them directly. It's how we set ourselves up for success when marketing a property for sale. We're actually marketing it, right? We're not just setting it and forgetting it, putting it on the shelf and letting the MLS do its thing. And if it doesn't work in 30 days, we just reduce the price. That is a very lazy strategy for selling real estate. You deserve to have somebody that is going to give you the best shot possible at earning the most money possible when it comes to selling your home. Because I'm just here to tell you that based on the way the market's behaving, it's becoming more and more fleeting. It's becoming harder and harder for sellers to maintain control and grasp on all of the equity that they've built over the past several years. So you want to get it right the first time. You don't want to be one of those 1 in 3 sellers that puts their home on the market and it does not sell. Because then when you go back on the market, it's significantly harder. And it does have an actual impact on your bottom line. The longer it sits, the more stories that are attached to reasons why something doesn't sell, the more hesitant and nervous a buyer is going to become and a more opportunistic they're going to become. So you want to get this right the first time. If that's something we can help you with, or if you're just curious about what that might look like, the first thing I would say is download our guide, the most comprehensive home seller guide in Charleston. It's written by me personally. It's not a chat GPT thing. It is my experience as somebody that has been selling real estate at a high level, formerly top agent in the Southeast U.S., 16 years in the top 1% of our MLS. I'm here to help. One way of doing that is by providing this report to you. So if you'd like a copy of the most comprehensive home seller guide in Charleston, text the word report to 843-800-0065. Text the word report to 843-800-0065. You can also just contact us through our website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. You can check out our YouTube videos, right? Just search for the Brian Beatty team. Same thing with our podcast on iTunes and Spotify and Google Play. And of course, if you want to reach out and talk about your situation personally, the number 843-800-0065. All right. I always like to take a moment and just tell you guys that I appreciate you guys for listening. I've been doing this show for going on 14 years now. And I just appreciate all of you that reach out, that I can help with whatever the situation might be. Of course, if it's a transaction, we'd love the opportunity to earn your business. But we get just as many, if not more, calls with folks that just have common questions or need a referral for somebody to do some work to their house. Whatever we can do to help, we're here to help. My number is 843-800-0065. You can call or text that number. I'll be the one to answer it, 843-800-0065. Or our website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Also, check us out on YouTube and, of course, our podcast on iTunes and Spotify and Google Play and all that great stuff. But let's talk now about, so we've talked about the idea that it's incredibly important, especially in this specific time, for you to get it right when you list your home for sale. And I know there are so many people out there that have friends or family members that are in the business, and that can be a very awkward conversation to tell them that, like, hey, I know that we're friends, but it's better to stay friends than attempt for you to sell my high-end home, or it doesn't have to be a high-end home, but just my home. Sometimes, and you might know this very well, just based on your personal relationship with that person, that they're great friends, but they might not be great real estate agents. And at the end of the day, what you owe yourself is the best opportunity to keep and make as much money as you can when you sell your house. So if you want me to be the person that you choose without having to compete between friends, I'm happy to fill that gap. But anyways, you guys know how to reach me, 843-800-0065 if that really is a thing. But let's talk about the 7 warning signs that your home is about to sit on the market, right? Because we've talked about the fact that right now, 1 in 3 homes that are listing for sale are not selling. They're getting pulled off the market. They're failing to sell. They're firing their agents. They're deciding it's not the right time. They're deciding they can't get their price and they're just going to give up. Maybe they rent their home. Whatever the case might be, the worst thing that can happen to your home is not necessarily getting a low offer, or it's not negotiating repairs. It's your home sitting on the market week after week with no offers. Because the longer a home sits, the more buyers to ask the same questions, right? What's wrong with it? So I want to share, 7 warning signs that your home is about to sit on the market. And if you're thinking about selling in Charleston this year, these are the exact things that you want to avoid, right? So the first warning sign is that the price is based on what the seller wants or needs, right? One of the biggest warning signs is when the listing is based on emotion instead of data, right? Sellers will say something like, we need to get at least this much, or, my neighbor sold for that price last year. But let's be honest, buyers, they don't care about what a seller needs. They care about today's market. And in today's market, buyers are comparing almost every listing instantly. Even if the price is 5% too high, a lot of those buyers won't schedule a showing. They'll just scroll right past it. The second is that the photos just don't make the buyers stop scrolling, right? Buyers today decide whether or not they want to see a home in about 4 seconds. That decision happens online. So if the listing photos are dark and poorly framed and cluttered, or taken on a phone, or you've got like the first 4 pictures of the listing are just like different angles of the front of the house, you have to understand the way people search for real estate. You have to understand what they see on these various websites as they're comparing property to property, right? Usually most websites will give you like the first 4 photos, and then you have to click on more to figure out what's actually going on inside. So the first 4 photos shouldn't be just the same picture from a slightly different angle. It should pull them in, right? Maybe, of course, the first photo is the front of the house, but maybe the next one is your awesome kitchen that you just remodeled. And then the third one is your master bathroom, which looks beautiful. And maybe the fourth is a view of your backyard that's on the marsh or on the water. Or you find some feature of your home that's impressive and you feature that, right? The first showing your home gets is when people view it online. So professional photography is not a luxury anymore. It's a requirement. And of course, we offer that on every listing. I would say the third is that the first week, the first 10 days, you have very few to 0 showings. This is one of the biggest signals that agents can watch. And so when I meet with a seller and we talk about putting their home on the market, one thing that we do have access to is, well, we use a third-party company, all real estate agents do in Charleston, called Showing Time. So basically, if I was a real estate agent showing buyers a property this weekend, I would go in the MLS and I'd select the 3 or 4 or 5 homes that I'd want to see. And then Showing Time, the third-party company, would do all the communicating between the listing agents and the sellers to coordinate my schedule, right? So it's a scheduling service. The great thing about that is that they track and collect data that I can then use to my seller's advantage. So I can say, hey, in this area, in this price range, in the past 30, 60, 90 days, here's what the average number of showings looks like. This is our benchmark, right? This is our sweet spot. If we're at or above that, we're in great shape. If we're significantly below that, we might have to discuss a change in our strategy. So if the home launches and showings are slow, or buyers are canceling appointments, or the feedback is really vague, and you're consistently like, yeah, it's like top 5, it's not top 2, well, then usually what happens is you are actually becoming a listing that's helping other listings sell faster. You're helping your competition because they look better. They're positioned better. It's usually a signal, obviously, that something isn't resonating with the market. And most of the time, the cause is either price or presentation. I'll tell you another warning sign, just really quickly. The home looks too personalized, right? And I think this one surprises a lot of sellers. And I know that everybody immediately goes to, oh yeah, the family photos, we got to take those down. I can't remember a time where, someone having a photo of their grandson on their nightstand prevented that home from selling. Now, if you have a shrine in your family room dedicated to every member of your family tree, and it's the focal point of the family room, yeah, that's a problem. But, the idea is that buyers need to be able to picture themselves living in the house. If every wall has bold colors and the decor is extremely specific, then buyers are going to start focusing on what they need to change. And the more changes buyers imagine, the less they are willing to pay, because it becomes a to-do list for them. The fifth thing is that the listing description is just weak. You'd be shocked at how many listings have descriptions like this. Beautiful home in great neighborhood, won't last long. That tells the buyer literally nothing, right? A great listing description should sell the lifestyle and the location and the upgrades and the unique features and the amenities, the conveniences of living in that area. Or maybe if it's like a rural property, the exact opposite, the privacy, the distance from neighbors, right? That's probably what somebody like that's looking for. So lean into that. The goal is to help buyers emotionally connect with the home before they walk through the door. That's the whole goal, right? Warning sign number 6, the home has too much competition. Sometimes the issue isn't the house, it's the timing, right? And if we've got 5 very similar homes on the market at the same time in the same neighborhood, buyers suddenly have options. And when buyers have options, the best price and the best presented home wins. And they use that as leverage, right? They'll say, well, if you don't like my offer, I'll go to the one down the street. And the others often sit. And that's happening more and more as we're seeing properties sit on the market for longer and we're seeing inventory start to go up. And then the last major warning sign is that the marketing strategy, again, it's passive, right? This is one of the biggest mistakes that sellers don't realize is happening. Some listings just rely entirely on the MLS. Yeah, maybe they put like a hey, look at me type post on their Facebook page, but it's to all their random friends or people they think are friends. They're not actual buyers for your house. So it's more just like I got another listing. Look at me, double bicep flex emoji. I'm awesome. Just like every other real estate agent's social media account out there. And don't get me started on that soapbox. Holy cow. But I think today's buyers come from everywhere, right? Social media, targeted digital ads, relocation networks, investor databases, agent networks. I mean, if a listing isn't actively being promoted, the buyer pool becomes smaller, and fewer buyers means fewer offers. Our goal in marketing your property is to educate and inform people about that property and why it's so great in such a way that we create urgency and fear of loss. I want people looking at my listings and saying, wow, if I don't do something about that, someone else will. And there are tons of strategies that we have created over the years to take advantage of and almost manipulate that interest. A lot of it has to do with timing. It all has to do with strategy. So what's the takeaway from all this, right? Homes don't sit on the market because the market's broken. They sit because something about the listing isn't aligned with what buyers expect. And so when price and presentation and marketing all work together, homes still sell very quickly. Remember, 1 in 3 properties don't sell, but the remaining 2/3, half of them sell for full price in a week, and the other half sell in like 3 months for 90-ish% of their asking price. It all has to do with strategy. So if you're thinking about selling your home this year, the smartest thing that you can do is figure out how buyers will see your home before you list it. Because once a home hits the market, the clock starts ticking, right? So if you'd like to know where buyers kind of are in this market, what their expectations are, then you would want to talk to a real estate agent that's doing a lot of transactions and that understands how to pull those people in, not just because they understand the buyer psychology and the process they go through mentally and emotionally when they're searching for a home, but you also need an agent that has the tools and the ability and the manpower and the financial ability to really market your home better than other real estate agents to give you an unfair marketing advantage. And that's exactly what I'd love to do for you guys if you're open to it. Feel free to reach out to me, call or text me. My number is 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or check out our website, listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. And remember to check us out on YouTube. Just search the Brian Beatty Team. And you can check out our podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Brian Beatty Team. So I want to talk now about really where we are as a market right now. What are some of the actual stats? What trajectory are we on? And I will say very quickly that these next 30, 45 days will be very important for the overall trajectory of our market. This is when really we are at its busiest. Most people are getting ready to or talking to real estate agents to start putting their home on the market. Buyers are coming out of the woodwork. It's just a great time to be busy in this market, but seasonally, it's the spring season, right? It's when we see the hottest activity in our market. And so I'll be curious to see how we end this month and how we end April in comparison to years past. But here's some stats to just help you guys understand where we are. And the first thing is that market-wide, we've seen about 5% less closings than we did this time last year, right? So things are slowing down a little bit. On top of that, prices are down about 1% from this time last year, right? So the median sales price in February of last year was $418. Now we're at $415. Not a huge deal, but certainly not the rapid appreciation that we've seen in years past, right? Now, a few other things that I really look at, okay? First is just inventory. How many homes are for sale at any given point in time, and how quickly are we absorbing that inventory, right? The absorption rate or the month's supply of inventory is really how we measure the health of a real estate market. We could be putting a ton of properties on the market, and if we're purchasing them all, right, we're absorbing that inventory, then it's all good. But if we keep putting more and more homes on the market and demand is simply not there, then those homes tend to sit on the market for longer. They tend to sell for lower than where they were listed. There's more negotiability. And so that's kind of where we are right now. It's like I said at the end of last year, this is going to be a fairly boring, normal real estate market. And that's okay. You know, we don't need for every year in real estate to be this huge drama queen, right? But inventory, it's up almost 10%. From this time last year. We've got about 400-ish more homes on the market than we did. Properties aren't getting as much in years past. You know, this past February, we were getting over like 96.5% of our asking price. Now it's down like 95.5%. And properties are taking longer to sell. You know, market-wide, it went from 59 to 60, but some of these other locations, like, you know, Berkeley County, as an example, their median days on market has actually gone down. It went from 59 to 58, big whoop. Dorchester County went from 51 to 57. And Charleston County went from 50 to 54. So yeah, like a few more days on the market. But what's interesting to watch is, you know, we're still a little too early to see all this new inventory get absorbed, right, to actually sell. We're going to see a huge spike in inventory, I think, in the next 30 to 60 days. But if you go back and you just look at Berkeley County, Dorchester County, and Charleston County, for the sake of wrapping this all up, in Berkeley County, they've seen about a 4% increase in single-family home listings, but they've seen a 54% increase in condo and townhome listings. Closings are down 6%. The median sales price is basically flat. It's where it was. They're getting just a little bit less than they were last year when when it talks about their percentage of original listing price received. And they're staying on the market for 1 day less, and the inventory really hasn't changed. In fact, it's gone down 5% in Berkeley County. Dorchester County is a different story, though. There's a lot of property on the market in Dorchester County. We've seen a 28% increase in inventory for sale in Dorchester County, which is why properties are now, like the days on market has increased by 12%, right? We're seeing more and more properties hit the market, and year to date, prices are actually down 2.3% in Dorchester County. So that's something to really keep a close eye on. And then lastly, Charleston County, where we have a lot of transactions. Closings are down about 4%. The number of homes for sale has increased 12% since this time last year. The days on market has gone up by 15%. And properties are, there's about an extra % off the asking price that buyers are now able to get because of the increase in inventory and because of the slowdown in demand, right? We're just kind of hitting some of these natural price ceilings. But the one silver lining, good news, is affordability is improving, right? This is a combination of prices and interest rates in comparison to wages. And so our housing affordability index this time last year was at a 78, meaning people in our area only made 78% of what was necessary to qualify for the median priced home in that market, which last year was $418,000. Well, now that index has jumped up to 84. We haven't been in the 80s in quite a while, which means that prices and interest rates in relation to wages have become more favorable for buyers. The drop in interest rates that we had equates to almost $30,000 in purchasing power. So if you'd like more information on your specific home's value, or you'd like to look at the market for some opportunity to buy or invest, or if you're an investor already and you've got some rental property you need to help with us managing your property for you, then reach out to us. Also get our guide. Just text the word report to 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Text the word report, and we'll send you that comprehensive home seller guide. And also check out our website, listingsincharleston.com. All right, guys, thanks for listening. You enjoy your weekend.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065.